You have a coworker who is trying to boss you around, make you look bad in front of your boss and other coworkers, and maybe even trying to sabotage you at work. This is something that has been coming up so much lately among my friends, my clients, and even my career besties in the comments. And we need to talk about it. Because insecure coworkers who act out and even try to sabotage you are going to come up over the course of your career. We'll start off talking about some of the tactics that you can use, but really what we're going to get into is how to make that toxic coworker completely irrelevant. Get a tea and a notebook because today I'm going to give you a few prompts and tap the like button so we can jump straight into it. First things first, you need to assess the situation. Which workplace villain are you dealing with? And I have a whole video that digs into that you can watch after this one. But even more important than who you're dealing with, who's aware of the situation? Do other people see it and do they see it as a problem? So for example, has this been obvious to your boss and they've made remarks about it before? Maybe it's been a whole conversation. And remember that if your boss knows about it, a whole bunch might be going on behind the scenes that you're not gonna really know about. Like maybe they're on a performance improvement plan or they've gotten a written warning about it. But know that if it's a known issue, it's a known issue. Next, we need to audit influence. What influence does this insecure, toxic coworker have? Do they have the ear of your boss's boss's boss? Or like we just talked about, does everyone see right through it? I also need you to consider your level of influence here. And this is a really important one because so many people that I talk to when we're in the step where we're assessing the situation, you are the one who's the known top performer. You're known for being easy to work with, being great at your job, and even as being an emerging leader on your team. The point of assessing the situation is to know the dynamics that are at play because they are going to have an impact in how you proceed next. And that is to bring your personal brand into the rescue. And this is one of the reasons why I talk about personal brand so much, because your personal brand isn't just about getting a new job or becoming an industry influencer. Your personal brand is what's going to protect you when you're in a situation where your boss or a coworker is sabotaging you at work. If you're just thinking about it now that you're in the situation, I can assure you, your toxic coworker has gotten a head start. Now, one of the things that comes up with these coworkers that are trying to sabotage you, throwing you under the bus, they're often trying to take credit for your work. Whether it's stealing an idea, staking claim in work that you did that they had absolutely nothing to do with, this toxic coworker is a credit snatcher. And what's the easiest and most foolproof way to get around this? To be known for doing the work that you do. When you are known for being exceptional at the things that you do, it makes your work obvious. And when your name is written all over it, I mean, not literally all over it, but when it's really obvious that you're the one who's contributing, they're not going to be able to take credit for it. Now, if you don't know what you should be known for in the first place, do make sure to go and grab my free UAQ starter kit. It's going to help you figure it out. My next question in this phase is, who is in your network of advocates? Who's going to speak up for you in the rooms that you're not in, to give you credit for your work, to call that toxic coworker out on their BS, and otherwise speak for you? You need to be really clear who these people are, and you need to make sure that you're regularly communicating receipts to them so they know exactly how they can advocate for you. And really, when we look at the situation, I have seen instances where that toxic coworker had this awesome network of advocates and influential people, the boss, the boss's boss, the boss's boss's boss, all on their side. And if that's the situation you're in, again, they have the upper hand. So you need to ask yourself, what is your relationship with those people? Which people of power and influence do you have the relationship with that can safeguard you from your toxic coworker BS? Now, in the next phase, we're gonna go a little bit deeper in an attempt to neutralize the situation. Now, when we look at those toxic coworkers who are trying to take credit for your work, make you look bad, and are maybe even trying to get you fired, we need to acknowledge the place that they're acting from: fear, insecurity, and unworthiness. In fact, if you're like most of my career besties, your awesomeness and your potential is triggering the out of them. And that's why they're acting out against you. Unfortunately, they're operating at that level of disempowerment where they only know to drag other people down to their level to try to make themselves feel better. only it never works, which is why the cycle continues. So ask yourself, is there a way for you to lift them up so that they feel better about themselves, so they feel more valid and more worthy? Now, whenever I say this, people in the comments get really mad at me. I'm not gonna suck up to them. This isn't about sucking up. This is about authentically and organically giving them compliments, giving them praise, or validating the work that they're doing so that they feel better. Because sometimes this is going to be the thing that is going to turn that adversary into one of your biggest advocates. Now, of course, it's not always going to work. You're gonna try it out and see what happens. If it doesn't help the situation, or if it makes the situation worse, you're gonna stop doing that. In fact, I'm gonna make a rule right now. You're not allowed to share your vibe with anyone who insists on dragging it down. That said, you need to remember that people are watching. So in these interactions that you have with this coworker who's trying to sabotage you, trying to tear you down, do not be the jerk in the situation under any circumstance. Because when you're not the toxic employee in the situation, your boss is more likely to deal with you instead of them to say that they're addressing the situation. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying that it's fair. What I am saying is that their expectations of that toxic coworker are really low. And the expectations of how you are, based on your awesome self, are much higher. Real quick, I need to interrupt the usual broadcast. Now, before we get into shifting your whole vibe in this toxic coworker situation, I need to shamelessly plug my AMA Wednesday over on Instagram. And well, my Instagram in general. Honestly, up until recently, I really didn't like Instagram. But lately, I've been feeling it. So I'm gonna be creating more content and more snippets of the really important things for my video. And I've been running this really fun AMA every single week. And honestly, it has become my favorite part of the week. So I would love to see you over there. I'll leave the link in the description bar below. Okay, back to the usual program. Now, we know that these annoying situations with coworkers are going to arise. This isn't the only coworker doing this that you're going to encounter across your career. There's a lot of insecure people out there, which is why in the next step, you're going to get curious. Now, I told you I was gonna give you prompts, so make sure that you get that notepad handy. The first question, and I want you to answer this really honestly. Do you care about them? Like, beyond the intrinsic, they're human, you don't want anything bad to happen. Like, we're not being mean about it, but just genuinely, do you actually care about them? Would you be bothered if they were not in your life because they went to another job? If you're like most of the people that I speak with, the answer is probably not. Which leads us to the second question. Then why does what they do matter? Especially in the situations where your boss and their boss totally see the situation, everyone knows that this is a difficult coworker, and no one really likes them. Why is this actually bothering you? Because the truth is that if you didn't have any fear or you didn't have any insecurity surrounding these things, you probably wouldn't be bothered at all. So we have to ask, why is it bothering you? When you have a high level of confidence at work, have a high sense of self-worth, and know how lucky the team and the company is to have you there, you become unquitable. And honestly, if I can help you create just one thing in your career and in your life, that is exactly what I want to help you create. So you can expect more topics on this theme coming out. If you need them, subscribe to make sure that you don't miss them when I release them. Now, this next step, when you're dealing with a difficult coworker who is trying to throw you under a bus, trying to get you in trouble, trying to bring you down, is to protect your vibes. Here's the thing about working with negative people and in negative work environments. They can wreck your vibes and throw you off your game. This is why when you're dealing with someone like this, you always feel like you have to be on the defensive and you have to be preparing and you need to be showing people what they are and all of that kind of stuff. But really, it's way more impactful if you just protect your vibes and continue on being awesome. So how can you protect your vibes, keep them high, even when you're dealing with a difficult coworker like that? First, minimize contact as much as possible. And that one is really obvious, and you're probably naturally doing that one already. And if you're not, what are you waiting for? Another thing that a lot of people I've worked with have found very helpful is to have a pre and post ritual when they know they're gonna have to interact with this person. Like, for example, they know that they're meeting with this toxic, difficult coworker. And as the first step here, what I really recommend is to find a ritual for yourself. When you are interacting with this person and they say something dumb, take a deep breath, smile, and remind yourself that their attack on you is a reminder to everyone around how awesome awesome you are. Now, both before and after the interaction, you want to find ways to re-energize yourself. It can be very draining dealing with these toxic coworkers. But how do you do that? Start by answering this question. What makes you feel energized, confident, and unstoppable? When are you at your best? Maybe it's listening to music, slapping on some red lipstick, or having an affirmation that makes you feel great. Like, I am awesome AF. Figure out that mood lifting ritual and use it. And then this brings us to the most important step. And this applies if you're dealing with a difficult coworker, a toxic coworker, you're in a toxic work environment. Keep being awesome. Again, the bad news is this difficult coworker type is everywhere. The good news is none of them need to be relevant. Control what you can control in your career and in your work situation. Control your focus, control your impact, and control your personal brand. And most importantly, stop making the workplace villain the main character of your career. In fact, you need to start centering yourself and your potential today. Go and watch this video now to get started. But before you go, if this video helped you, give it a thumbs up. Really helps my channel, makes you my favorite career bestie. It's a win-win situation. As always, my friend, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.